Hey, folks, today's episode is brought to you by Sunset Lake Seder. Use the coupon code Left is Best. You get 20% off. They have all sorts of great Seder products. I mentioned this at the beginning of the week. I was on vacation with my kids. My kids got mosquito bites, particularly Saul. He got one on his knuckle, got one on the back of his ankle, all the worst places. And I used the Seder Arnica Salve, and it helped with his mosquito bites. Usually use it for sore muscles. I happen to use it occasionally for my eczema. But they also have tinctures that help you sleep in 750 milligrams up to 6,000 milligrams. You can use their gummies. They have gummies with melatonin to help you sleep, or they have just sour gummies just for when you're chilling. Smokables, including keef and flowers and pre-rolls. They also have fudge. They have Seder infused coffee, which is my weekend brew. Just a fantastic line of products. You get a full breakdown of what is in them from a third-party analysis, which is super important. Wherever you get your Seder, you should always make sure that it is third-party certified. This is also a great company. They have donated tens of thousands of dollars to things like food pantries and union strike funds and Give Directly and the Innocence Project. They also use integrated pest management, no pesticides. They use regenerative farming practices, so they take care of the land. They're mostly employee-owned a firm, and they pay a minimum wage of $15 to those folks they bring on to help harvest. Just an all-around great company. Movement Partners, Sunset Lake, Seder.com. Use the coupon code Left is Best. Fans of the show, they chose it for 20% off. Sunset Lake, Seder.com. All right, and now, speaking of the show, let's begin the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder, where every day is Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, September 2nd, 2022. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, it's Casual Friday, folks. And it's also a very special Casual Friday. We have no guest. We're going to go with all calls today. We're not going to do exclusively calls, but we're going to take calls. It's going to be sort of like a fun half in the free half. Well, we'll see how it goes. Meanwhile, Joe Biden delivers a speech that hurts the Republican fifis. 315,000 jobs added in August. Unemployment rate bumps up a little bit as the labor market is loosening a bit. IAEA to issue a report on Ukrainian nuclear plant occupied by Russia, leaving inspectors behind. Cali passes a major climate legislation, or actually 2 different bills, including new restrictions on oil and gas, and one which spends over $54 billion. New report students' test scores in math and reading following the pandemic at a low for decades upon decades. Rick Scott and Mitch McConnell in a war over who's going to be responsible for the Republican Senate fail. Retired NYPD gets 10 years for the January 6th attack. Ginny Thomas also pressed not just Arizonian lawmakers, but also Wisconsin lawmakers to overturn the results of the election. CDC signs off on updated booster. It should be available within days. This one has more efficacy against the Omicron variant. Federal judge unseals a detailed inventory of what documents Trump stole, including 43 empty folders marked classified.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it fell out. National Labor Relations Board rejects Amazon's challenge to the Staten Island union election. And the Apple Store in Oklahoma may be the second to unionize in the country. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. It is Casual Friday. And of course, joining me as always, Emma Vigland.
Hello.
There you go. All right. Well, there's
hi. Casual
Hi.
Friday. Yes. Hi.
Why not? Why wouldn't you?
And Emma's a little bit stuttery now on the camera, so we might need you to
Oh no.
reconnect all of a sudden.
Why did that happen?
I have no idea.
All right, I'll figure it out.
That's weird. That is really weird. Meanwhile, it is Casual Friday, and I am going to, in a moment, turn off the voicemail now that Emma's less stuttery. And we're going to be taking phone calls during the show. Casual Friday. Why not? Last night, Joe Biden gave a speech. I'm not 100% sure of like why now he's giving this speech. With that said, the speech was ostensibly about the threats to democracy. It is Emma's a little bit hot, I'm being told by the IMers, and I am not.
Hey, damn right I am.
Bingo, in terms of the audio.
Yeah,
On it.
I'm owning
Okay,
it
good.
in another way.
All right, there we go. We've hopefully balanced that out. And there was a poll that was released by NBC the other day saying that one of the top concerns, if not the top concern, 21%, and I think it was like a total of 29% as their second choice, which was just about the highest percentage of people. Their number one issue in this election is the threat to democracy. Now, the poll, as far as I could tell, was not broken down between Democrats and Republicans. And I imagine there are Republicans who say the same thing because they're convinced that Joe Biden is a Hitler, according to Marjorie Taylor Greene, because of the backdrop of this speech. Or I don't know what else. What else would make him Hitler? Hitler famously, relieved some student debt. Not all of it, but just some. But here is, that is, I think, one of the explanations as to why Joe Biden gave this speech now, because the election's coming up, and that's going to be relevant in the context of the election, apparently. And it really, really upset some Republicans. Here is Joe Biden. Speech in Philadelphia. The backdrop is a little weird, and I'm not sure,
And it was a clear choice. Like if you go to the beginning of the speech, it wasn't a starkly red. These were lights that they had there.
It looks a little, bit Star Wars Empire aesthetic to me. Darth Maul's waiting in the wings.
Hey, it's a code red for democracy.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I understand why he did it now, right? It's like you see your poll numbers rising and you're kind of riding your momentum. So you want to get in front of it and make sure that your face is associated with increased positivity about your administration.
maybe. All right. Well, let's play this clip.
Why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. But as I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation. about the threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it. We must never forget, we the people are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We the people have burning inside of each of us the flame of liberty that was lit here at Independence Hall. A flame that lit our way through abolition, the Civil War, suffrage, the Great Depression, world wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns. Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free, and just. That is the work of my presidency, a mission I believe in with my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know, because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans.
Good.
Yeah.
That was that was the best part rhetorically of the speech, in terms of like, now we understand we're not doing uber MAGA anymore. We're not talking about how we need a strong Republican Party. It's just the Republican Party has been taken over by these folks.
Yep. And I think it is good that he finished with that part in terms of that segment. Had he not finished with it, even if he had reversed the order, it's dominated by, and then did a qualification on that. But the fact that the end discussion of who the Republican Party is now was just, they are extremists, they are dominated by the MAGA Republicans. I'm okay with that. And I also, look, he's going into an election and he's able to reach at least, 2 different audiences with that. There is still an opportunity for him, giving an opportunity for voters. This is for voters again. Remember, it's
not for us, right? I mean, of course, we would like for him to rebuke the Republican Party and conservatives writ large, but he's trying to make a choice that makes him look reasonable and inclusive to maybe people who aren't sold yet.
But he is also acknowledging that there is really no negotiating with this Republican Party because, in his words, because they are dominated by this latest iteration of Republicans. I happen to think that that's what Republicans are. Period. End of story. He hasn't been able to negotiate, really. I mean, let's be honest. He hasn't been able to negotiate with Republicans since at least 2008. There was no negotiating, and Joe Biden tried. And he did so in a way that was undercutting Harry Reid and was promoting cuts to Social Security at that time. And he tried. He tried to make that deal. But the Republicans at that time also would not take that deal. And so, when he says the ones that he negotiated with, you may have to go back 15 years at a minimum. And so that is, I don't know. I don't think that he delivers a speech particularly well. I didn't think it was a particularly inspiring speech. It's weird to me that he always has like one tone, but nevertheless, people like it, and the Republicans are losing it over it.
Yeah,
and
that's
maybe,
the best part.
Yeah, and maybe that background too. Like that's the only response they have is that it looks like fascistic, which is what you guys are.
Yeah.
But perhaps someone in his administration understood that it would be aesthetically consistent with the Dark Brandon memes, which apparently
I wonder.
he really does seem to be liking that. Amazing to me that is some sort of like operating principle for Biden. But
Whatever it takes.
whatever it takes. If he feels like he's cool Joe Slick now that all the youths are calling him Dark Brandon, he wants to lean into that. As long as he keeps fighting, I'm okay.
You roll up in the Batmobile next.
All right. Well, listen,
Some
we got some sponsors that we're going to talk about for a moment, but I just want to tell people we're going to open up the phone lines 646-257-3920. We're going to give please, if you're a regular caller, if you've called in the past, let's try and have some new callers, at least for the first half hour, 45 minutes of the show today. But anybody can call in, and we will see. One of our sponsors today is Immi. They are ramen noodles. And here's what makes Immi special. Each serving of Immi ramen noodles has only 6 net carbs and is packed with 21 grams of protein, keeping you feeling fuller for longer. Immi is 100% plant-based. It is also dairy-free. Immi has 18 grams of fiber, up to 4 times more fiber than other instant ramen brands. And unlike other instant ramen brands, they are not high in sodium and preservatives. Immi has 35% less sodium than its competitors, so you don't get that post-ramen bloat.
Did I tell you I tried that, Sam?
Yeah.
It was really good.
I had both the tom yum shrimp, which I call tom yum kung because I speak a little bit of Thai, and the black garlic chicken, both delicious. My daughter loves it. She's a huge instant ramen person. I think that's like, the kids like it because it takes you literally 7 minutes. You can prepare it in a microwave. You can prepare it on the stovetop, and literally 7 minutes, you have a meal. Immi uses only the highest quality ingredients for their noodles. Only the highest quality ingredients for their soup base. There is no unnatural preservatives. It was delicious. Like I say, I've tried 2 different ones. And I wasn't aware of like the lower sodium, or that's what I'm psyched about it now. And easy enough that your kid can actually make it, which is also a huge plus for me. And it's delicious. Immi is giving my audience $5 off when you go to immieats.com/majority report and you use the code majority report at checkout. That's IMMI eats EATS.com/majority report. Use the code majority report, one word. You get $5 off. The link is in the podcast and YouTube description. Check it out. Also, one of today's sponsors, one of Emma's favorites, Tushy.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I did the ad read for this yesterday, Sam.
Oh, there you go.
Did you realize? Yeah.
I did not. No, that must have been fun. I was sorry I wasn't here. The Tushy is, of course, the modern bidet company. It is celebrating Reverse 6-9 Day from September 2 to 6th by offering Tushy Classic bidets for $69 when you purchase 2 or more. I don't even follow that. 6-9 Day is Tushy's biggest.
69 day. because it's on the 6th, right? All right.
I don't even get it. Oh, I get it.
It's no problem.
I don't know. But the point is, it's the Tushy's biggest sale of the year. Over Labor Day weekend, Tushy is celebrating 6-9 Day again, but reversed. Don't miss out on $69. That's nuts for the Tushy Classic bidets when you buy 2 or more from September 2nd and 6th. That is the 2nd through the 6th for Reverse 69 Day. This is Hello Tushy's way of celebrating all things 69. God, the horizontal tango. I don't even know what this is. Nope, I'm not saying any of these words. Whatever you call it, you keep your dirty stuff clean with the help of a Tushy bidet. Look, here's the upside. You can feel confident buying that second Hello Tushy as a gift for somebody because it is so easy to install. And you'll be giving not only the Cliff, this is a gift that literally keeps giving. It really is one of the easiest things you could possibly install. If you can change out your toilet seat, you can install a Hello Tushy. I'm not reading that part. They're really going on the 69 thing.
I'm so glad that this was your ad read today and not mine yesterday.
Hello Tushy 3.0 attaches to their existing toilet. There's no electricity, no extra plumbing, no tech or tech support, FaceTimes. It is super easy to install. It cuts toilet paper use by 80%. So the Hello Tushy bidet pays for itself within a few months. You want to give as good as you get? Check Hello Tushy's bidet attachment for reverse 6-9 day. That is, of course, between September 2nd to September 6th. Give the gift of a clean butt. Go to hellotushy.com/majority. Enter the promo code 96. That is the words 96 together, one word, to get 30% off. hellotushy.com/majority. That's hellotushy.com/majority. The link, of course, will be in the podcast and YouTube descriptions. And lastly, good news. You do not have to choose between your hair growth, better hair growth, and your health. There is a holistic solution for men. It actually works for women too. That promotes both healthier hair and whole body wellness. Get ahead of thinning hair with Nutrafol's whole body approach to hair growth. There's no drugs, no compromises. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement. It is clinically shown to improve your hair growth, improve its thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol's hair growth nutraceuticals go beyond genetics to multi-target the root causes of thinning hair, including stress, hormones, nutrition, metabolism, aging, and lifestyle through whole body health. It is a physician formulated. It is using natural medical grade ingredients. Nutrafol's drug-free. It is patented technology, provides consistent, reliable results without compromising your sexual health. In a clinical study, men showed progressive improvement in hair growth and thickness after 3 and 6 months. It is no wonder that Nutrafol is trusted and recommended by more than 3,000 top doctors. So what are you waiting for? You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support our show by going to Nutrafol.com. Entering the promo code majority, you will save $15 off your first month subscription. This is their best offer anywhere, and it is only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Use the promo code majority, and they will know that we sent you, and you will get that discount. Again, that link is in the podcast and YouTube description. Emma's, you have a friend who used this and found it very effective.
Yeah, she had a health issue and lost some hair because of it. And basically Nutrafol, I mean, I had actually heard about it through my sister who said, "Oh, this worked for our friend, our mutual friend," and asked her about it, and she said it really was a godsend for her. So really good stuff from the instance I know of for somebody in my life.
And again, drug free. So check it out. All right, let's play this one clip by Ron Johnson, then we'll get right to the phones.
Okay.
I promise. Let's actually, you know what? Let's just do the phones first.
Okay.
Then, all right,
Ron for a treat.
Yeah, calling from a 681 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from? 681.
Yes, this is Garrett from Baltimore.
Garrett from Baltimore?
Garrett, Sam, Garrett. Yes, I am a frequent caller on the James O'Brien program, and I debate such immoralities with him and on his position on such things as the minimum wage and such. And I was on YouTube recently, and I discovered several of your videos, Sam, and I felt as if I needed to confront you. One in particular is this woman. I cannot remember her full name. I believe it was Harris. She seemed to be on top of the things which she spoke of. You did not, however. Then there was a second. An assault. A vicious, brutal assault on a young boy, Sam, and I thought I needed to confront you because it made me so angry. Oh, the boy I speak of is, of course, a young Steven Crowder. And I felt as if this was something. Do not interrupt me, Sam. I will tell you when I am done speaking. Thank you. This was a vicious attack, and so I felt as if I must confront you as a man should. So I shall debate you, Sam, on whatever you wish. Your position on the minimum wage. Tell me as if it is not some immorality infringing on personal freedom, Sam. Go ahead. I shall stand up to you as a man should. So I give you the floor.
I am already wondering if we should have done this. The phone calls.
You said you're from Baltimore?
Yes, but I am in Baltimore now, yes, by way of Essex. Very astute of you, but I did not ask you for your opinion, your take on where I am from and how I conduct myself, Sam. I wish to confront you. So,
what is it that you
please.
want?
It's for you to decide how you're confronted.
Yeah, I mean, you. What is it you're asserting? That the minimum wage is what, problematic?
If you believe in personal freedom, Sam, yes, of course. Problematic is an understatement. So,
Can't tell if you're from India
Thank you.
or from
All
the UK or.
from Essex, yes, thank you. All right.
Well,
Samuel.
okay. Well, I'm gonna go. Appreciate the call.
After a roaring start.
couldn't quite figure out what was going on there.
No, I have no idea.
I mean,
All right, let's try this again. Calling from a 302 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, is this me?
Yes, it is you.
This is Ren from Pike County, Pennsylvania. I'm calling to ask about your opinion on the 5%, the reduction to 5% disposable income with the adjustment in student loan repayment plans. And I noted that it was a reduction of 5% for people with undergraduate loans, but no reduction was noted for those with graduate loans. I'll take my answer off the air.
Oh, is that right? Wait. I was not aware of that it did not apply to graduate loans. I thought it applied to all student loans.
What I had read, and I didn't see anything to contradict this yet, was that the 5% reduction explicitly mentions undergraduate loans, but I don't see any explicit mention of graduate loans.
All right, I got to look into that because I wasn't aware of that. But the provision in and of itself, and I hope it applies. I don't see why it wouldn't, frankly, apply to that. I mean, because they're already imposing a means test on it, essentially. So I don't know why a graduate loan would be what the logic behind that would be. But that 5% thing, just to be clear, we're dropping it from 10% to 5% in terms of disposable income. And what they're also doing is they are basically changing the definition of what constitutes disposable income, and making it smaller. So that 5% is probably, relative to the way they used to calculate it, closer to 4% or 4.5%. I'm not quite sure, what the actual number would be, but that's it. But so I think it's actually one of the better provisions. I think Sharia law Lord's SVUV says Washington Post says grad loans do apply. So it sounded weird to me that it wouldn't, but I appreciate the call.
Thank you.
All right, and we will get back to the phones in just a second, but let's play this Ron Johnson clip. I mean, this is, and maybe we'll also talk about let's play this Ron Johnson clip. What clip number is it?
10, the last one.
10, right. Okay. The 315,000 jobs added in August, the unemployment rate bumped up a little bit. And I don't know if that's a function of more people entering into the workforce or what, because 315,000 is well ahead of like the 160,000, I think it is, 180,000 you need to keep up with essentially population growth. Here is Ron Johnson, who has an idea on how to deal with the labor shortages that are out there. And, well, here it is.
I wrote a column for the Wall Street Journal. You can go online, November 2021, saying that we need about 2.6 million additional workers added to our labor force. And our birth rates aren't producing that. So there are a number of innovative ideas I would support. Former Senator Phil Graham came to the Senate. We were talking about our labor shortage, and one of his suggestions was to coax seniors that could re-enter the workforce. Don't charge them payroll tax. They're not paying it anyway, so they want to get back and earn a few extra bucks. Let them start working and don't charge them payroll tax.
Why would he want to undercut the payroll tax? That's my question.
I mean, I'm unclear, but and to be clear, it does undercut the payroll tax because you're increasing the amount of or decreasing the amount of income that Social Security touches, right? Because somebody's ultimately going to have these jobs. Now, one way in which if we are having trouble with the birth rate and we are having trouble with workers is one way is we can allow immigrants to come into this country.
We just had a guest on yesterday who spoke about how dependent Wisconsin, in particular, dairy farms are on migrant labor, and how Ron Johnson, his aggressive anti-immigrant rhetoric, actually is just not. It completely is not beneficial for even the farmers who are reliant on migrant labor for the continuation of their businesses within his own state. But to me, it just seems like he a few weeks ago, right? He was saying how he wants to make Medicare and Social Security a part of discretionary spending, and then he got some blowback for it. And he returns to it a month later with his new harebrained idea, which is essentially to have fewer people pay into the payroll tax, which would also undercut these programs. That essentially, it seems like he can't. It's his hobby horse. He just wants to privatize Social Security and Medicare, or at the very least, make sure they're much smaller and weaker. That's not going to fly. And people need to be clear about what he's advocating for, because he's using workarounds as a way to just not make it clear what he actually wants to do, which is to cut Social Security.
I mean, you got to wonder too. I mean, the guy is he's down in the polls, and he's going out there saying I've got a solution to this. Let's coax old people back into, and they won't have to pay, as if that 6% is that's what's keeping me on the sideline.
Yeah.
It's the 6% payroll tax.
As opposed to just wanting to live your life and retire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If only I was making, I don't know, $21 an hour instead of $20 an hour.
I'd stop fishing and I'd be coaxed back into,
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I think, yeah, sure. I work at a fast food place. Make instead of just making, $10 an hour or $7, $8 an hour, I could be making $8.50 an hour.
Ron Johnson probably thinks that story that was circulating last week about the 99-year-old woman who's still a waitress at Denny's or something like that. He's probably like, how heartwarming. How can we do this more in my state?
Uniquely
I know.
American. Yep. Uniquely American. Let's talk about, I want to do this clip number 4, and then we'll get back to the calls. There is a story today out about Rick Scott, who is the chair of the Senate, the National Republican Senatorial Committee, which is the Senate committee. It's not an official committee. It's a Republican Party committee, but it is the a Republican Senate committee to find new candidates and get them elected. And he is having a real battle with Mitch McConnell, because Mitch McConnell is talking about how crappy this pool of Republican candidates are. There's a story out today. I mean, everybody's seen what's happening with Dr. Oz. It's like almost like a total meltdown.
Yeah.
And Ron Johnson, of course, sitting senator, so there was nobody made a choice there. But in Blake Masters is having some type of implosion as well. And apparently there's more complaints about JD Vance. And we had mentioned over the course of the summer, even when JD Vance was up in the polls, there were Republican operatives who were saying, like, we've got a JD Vance problem. And now that the polls have evened up, you start to realize that they saw what was happening. No fundraising. And apparently the guy's like taking long sort of like vacations.
Yeah. Well,
he's working less than me during that, the context of this thing.
And what's funny too, is that Peter Thiel, for both him and Masters, essentially like flooded their primary races with cash. And now he's like, I'm out now. And so the Republicans are stuck with somebody who was artificially inflated by this Peter Thiel money and doesn't necessarily translate to the general election, where they're being left, without a life raft.
That is also so bizarre to me. Peter Thiel but here is Donald Trump. We'll talk more about it. Here's Donald Trump with radio host John Fredericks complaining about the Senate leadership and Mitch McConnell.
So Mitch McConnell the other day comes out and he says, well, we might lose the Senate because you have weak candidates. Okay, most of them you recruited and endorsed. All these races are within striking distance. That's like being down by 6 at the halftime, going to a football game, and the head coach says, we're really not good enough to win. I mean, what is your reaction to this?
He's such a negative for the party. He's a guy that I'm embarrassed to tell you, he was losing to somebody named Amy McGrath in Kentucky. I did very well in Kentucky, as you know, by a lot. I did a lot of places very well. I think maybe all of them. But I was doing very well. And so he came for an endorsement. He was losing, and he was going to lose big. And, the primary was over. If I would have known, I would have run somebody against him in the primary. We're batting almost 99% on endorsements. I would have run somebody against him in the primary. But who would have known that he turned out so bad? And, I was never a big fan, but he turned out bad to make a statement like that. So I endorsed him, and he ended up going up, and he won easily once I endorsed him. If I didn't endorse him, you wouldn't have to even be wasting your time talking about. He's not good. And we're going to go through him, and then we'll have to do something later on. We'll have to do something with him. He raises money and he hands it out to senators, and that's how he keeps his power. But I saw his statement about people, even people not involved as much with me, but people that are good. And instead of just being quiet, and he can think that if he wants. I don't even think he does think that. But he can think that if he wants, but he shouldn't say it. But he says it. And the party is furious at him. We have to put up with him for a period of time, but eventually he'll be gone. He'll be gone.
Well,
it's bad news.
Look, he just said that.
For him to make that statement, John, to make that statement is a disgrace to some very good people.
I love how Trump can both knock McConnell and take credit for his reelection.
Yep. Yeah. Only because of me, as if McConnell was going to lose to Amy McGrath by any measure, but only because of me.
They called that race in like 5 minutes after the polls closed.
Can you imagine me and Mitch McConnell and like getting a call from Trump being like, "You're welcome."
You're welcome.
As if McConnell hasn't just like say what you want about McConnell. He puts the grind in, like he sweats it out. He works for his grip on power. Like yeah.
And he was an unknown commodity before I.
No one knew who this guy was.
We didn't know who he was.
Upstart.
Total rookie.
Total, and then he turned out to be bad. So
and he's bad, and he says things about people who not my people, but people who are good. And the thing about Trump is like Sarah Palin's no less coherent than Trump is, but Trump has a bravado where he can just do word salad, and it sounds like he's actually talking, whereas Palin sounds like she's having some kind of breakdown.
Did you guys read this when I was out, maybe, or it was either last week, maybe we didn't read it, when Trump attacked him on Truth Social too? Like, this has been a multiple week thing of him going after McConnell, and particularly saying that, you know, he is weak and caving to the radical left because the Inflation Reduction Act was allowed to pass. And how the Senate needs to pick a new majority leader. It's just like a fun little B-side story that we should be monitoring, that Trump and McConnell are feuding.
I wonder if it doesn't have something to do with DeSantis. Because I got to think that if I'm McConnell, I am back channeling to DeSantis and saying, you know, we got your back when the time comes. And I would imagine that Trump is aware of this. I mean, I would imagine that McConnell is looking around for a substitute for Trump, just like Trump is looking around for a substitute for McConnell.
Yeah.
But
and McConnell also, I mean, that probably broke irrevocably when McConnell acknowledged that Biden won the election, you know,
that was
after
also
January
bad.
6th.
That was also a bad thing to do. All right, let's go back to the phones. Calling from a 973 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
It's the military-industrial complex, the MIC, spreading unwarranted influence across the fruited plain, calling from an arsenal in New Jersey.
973. I like that area code.
What's your name? And you're calling from New Jersey. I guess the military-industrial?
The MIC, the military-industrial complex.
Okay.
You're in Jersey?
Listen, Sam, this may get right to the point. Emma is right about cake. Cake is usually too dry. Not always. There are some great cakes, but often it's too dry. Ice cream cake solves the cake problem to the delight of all Americans.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Ice cream cake is a technological achievement of frozen dairy built in and assembled locally by hardworking Americans at the cake shop.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Appreciate the call.
It's a marvel of late capitalism, a high-tech production process to ensure delicious dairy and cake combined.
Are you using some type of voice?
Emma, as a great American.
All right.
You're a great
Appreciate
American.
the call.
Thank you to the military-industrial complex for endorsing
that is
the right kind of cake. It's got an Oreo center, it's ice cream, and it's not too dry. Yeah, it's moist.
So, Dude Guy Pal says calls are a bad idea. Look, you know, we do a lot of shows over the course of the year, and so we can afford to have a couple that are just mistakes.
We don't have a screener like Prager. Like they just come on.
I wish Prager would call in.
I wish Prager would call in.
Yeah.
So Clown Shoe Mike asks, so what's that big announcement? Should we, I guess, why not do it now, ladies and gentlemen? Emma, let me just preface this.
Okay.
That there's been many times where, you know, we take a phone call and somebody says, what do you guys think about blankety blank? I don't even know the name of the guy. And I don't know what team he plays on. And
the Giants, probably.
The Giants. And then Emma starts talking about it. And I am lost within, I don't know, 8 seconds. And I was like, it would be great if we didn't take any sports calls. And I'm not saying none, but there are a lot of people who are interested in sports. And with that said, Emma has an announcement, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoa. I'm immediately clamming up, so that's not good news. But I'm gonna start a sports show, weekly sports show. Yay! And Bradley is gonna help me out with it. Bradley and I are gonna be doing it together. And it's going to be launching next Tuesday at 4 p.m. and we'll be streaming it here. Yeah, right. We'll be streaming it here on this channel, and then hopefully we'll see like how it grows. But I have a little. We can put the YouTube link in the description. I'm not sure how this goes. It's my first time doing this. But
Emma's doing plugs now.
Yes, we can put a link in there. But I create a little YouTube channel. People will be able to go and see some of the clips. But I'm calling it ESVN.
ESVN.
Explain.
It is, I think, self-explanatory. The Emma Sports Vigilant Network show.
Oh, yeah. Yes, of course.
It rolls off the
Sports
tongue.
being your middle name.
Yeah.
The Emma Sports Vigilant Network, of course.
And network is my last name, I guess. But yeah, I mean, we're launching it in advance of the football season, which is 6 days away. Very exciting. First episode, we're going to be doing, division records, who's going to win the divisions, what the seating's probably going to look like, teams that are going to improve, teams that are going to regress. Maybe we'll do picks for MVP, picks for who's going to be in the top 5 of the draft, worst teams this year. And then as the show progresses, it's not just going to be football related, but it works out calendar wise because the football season starts next week, and then we'll have the NHL and the NBA starting. I'll drag Matt Leck on to do some NBA takes, maybe once or twice. And yeah, I'm really excited. It'll be fun. I didn't know if I wanted to do a sports show for a while, but because it's something I do on the side. But I realized that I probably need some sort of outlet for it, and it actually could be pretty fun. So ESVN, I will tweet out a link to the YouTube channel that I created, and then also I have a secret Twitter account that I've been sitting on for a few months now. That's also available if people want to follow that.
But to start off, it's going to be you're going to be able to watch it on this YouTube channel. So you don't need a special link for that at this point. Ultimately migrate there maybe for some clips. And also you should be able to listen to it through the MR app. Just for now anyways, wherever you can see this show, you're going to be able to see Emma's show. And then start branching out. But this is people are going crazy on the chat.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
Maybe I need to take a peep.
Looking forward to the Emma Majority Resport. People have different names. That ESVN is a great name, says Professional Dumpster Fire. Speaking of, you got to touch on the Knicks, Donovan non-trade, Bradley, Sam. All right, yes.
Well, I was pretty pissed about that, but I'm sitting with it for a little while. Yeah.
to alleviate Sam of these responsibilities.
Right.
Calling from a 908 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
This is me.
Yep.
Hi, this is Kevin from Brooklyn.
Kevin from Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
Yeah. Well, congrats. First of all, I'm on the new show.
Thank you.
I don't have any interest in sports, but I support left-leaning people getting into normie spaces. Sam, maybe you could do a dating advice show.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it.
Like a love line. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was thinking, I've been thinking about since we've seen Republicans their chances in the midterms starting to kind of reverse a little bit with the Jan 6 stuff and the Roe v. Wade decision. I mean, I think especially if Democrats can do a decent job at highlighting like what they actually believe and like the consequences of it, that it's like their platform is like obviously extremely unpopular with the broader electorate. And, you know, as they get more extreme, like only become more extreme, I think like it's clear that like their efforts to subvert democracy and like authoritarianism is like kind of their only way out of that. Cause like the more extreme they become and the more like toxic they become to the general electorate. And so I guess like my kind of question is like, assuming that like, and I don't think we should assume that they won't succeed. I think there's like, I don't know, I'm like pretty pessimistic about it, but like if for just for a second, like if we suppose that like their efforts were to not succeed and they like have to actually compete like on a long-term basis in like a general electorate, and actually like try to receive like something approximating a majority, like how would they even begin to like eventually moderate their part? Because like they're so
there
like,
doesn't even
their
seem to
base
be
is so,
there doesn't seem to be a strategy or frankly an example of them moderating. I think what it is they're going to continue. They are pursuing the strategy that they're pursuing. I don't think it's just that they are they're too extreme and they're driving people away. They simply do not have the numbers, and they know they do not have the numbers. You don't lose 2 presidential elections over the course of 20 years by at least in the popular vote. And you get to be president unless, like the strategy is, they are looking for minoritarian rule because that's their only option. So you have the gerrymandering that's going on in the House seats. The Senate doesn't work as well, obviously, for gerrymandering. It doesn't work, you don't gerrymander. But there's a structural advantage to these, to the small states having, Republicans and the Supreme Court. So I don't think that there is even I don't think there is a test balloon. I don't think there's anybody working on that project.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm just saying that like they're clearly becoming like, or as like Roe v. Wade is actually being implemented, like it seems like their level of extremism is like rising to a level that like they're really like even places where they should be competitive, like they're kind of like, especially you see some of these Senate races, like they're not even. And
right.
Like I guess my question is like I agree they're not like attempting to moderate at all. I'm just like saying like, is there a world where like they become like,
I don't think so. Here is why. Is because at the very least for the House members, okay, there are very few districts in the House where they're purple, for lack of a better term. There's like 30, maybe 40 seats in the House that are going to be, where you have like that could possibly flip one way or another. I know they're not going to get those kind of numbers, but there's only 30 or 40 House districts that are competitive now. And that means that those Republicans who are, they're all, I'm sure there's some non-MAGA Republican, for lack of a better term, but there's not many at all. And they are in districts that are gerrymandered. It behooves them to move further to the right because certainly that's what dominates the primaries. That's the problem they have on a Senate level, is that their primaries are dominated by the most Republican of Republican voters, and they are lunatics. Right. And so, you get the Blake Masters, you get the Mehmet Oz, and you get the JD Vance. I think he's going to win in Ohio, but the idea that it's even a question is pretty shocking. And so, that's
just what I mean.
There is no, and this is true of the Democratic Party even more so, but there is no like guy in charge of the Republican Party saying, we're going to do this now. It is a bunch of people who happen to have aligned interests, and their interests are aligned insofar as like they're trying to get reelected, and their electorate is not interested in any type of moderate Republicans, and that's why it's not happening. It's not happening.
That's exactly what
it's not going to happen.
So that's exactly what I mean, though. I just mean, like, if they, like, say they were to, like, this is best case scenario. I'm just saying, like, this is like a hypothetical good scenario, but like, so that they would keep losing in these places, like they lose in Pennsylvania and Arizona and Ohio, and they start to realize, like, okay, we like can't.
No,
we can't
there's
win
no
a primary with the lunatic days. If
there's
we
nobody to make that realization. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. That it is possible that somebody in Pennsylvania will say, I've got to run a more moderate campaign. But if they try that in the primary, they lose. It is possible that you could find a candidate who's going to be able to tack to the center after the primary. It's possible, but that's only going to happen in Pennsylvania. It's not going to happen in any other state where, you know, it's a red state. This is not going to happen. So there's the party's not going to moderate. Basically. The party is not going to moderate. There may be some individuals who do and win, although I think that's going to be increasingly less likely. Appreciate the call. Sam, I hope the crew told you about the guy who called in asking if you should start a TPUSA chapter. If he does, would you be willing to show up at his event? If we all recall, you were one of the top conservative commentators, so you deserve a spot on the stage for any conservative event. I mean, I genuinely, generally, you know, go where I'm invited. That's basically it. I just don't get invited.
I told him to call back in when you were back because he had some really good ideas about starting a Turning Points USA chapter at his college, because he was invited in by some TPUSA people and he was very enthusiastic. So I think
awesome.
he got their trust. Yeah.
Freddie from Framingham. Okay, it's 12:04 Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to go out on a limb here for the big announcement. My wife thinks you're going to have an LA show, but I am going to predict that Emma's boyfriend proposed to her just based on the fact that she turned red the other day when you were hinting about the announcement and the fact that Matt didn't know what it was, which leads me to believe it's not business announcement. I want all credit for this fact-based truth and bragging rights in perpetuity. Thank you very much. Well, you also, Freddie from Framingham, have to take the big L on this one.
I mean, I'm turning red now, even just at the thought of it. But I'll play this clip for him. Maybe it'll make him feel the pressure too. God damn it!
All right, let's see. Calling from a 586 area code. It is Casual Friday, Open Lines Friday. And we're on. Here we go. Who's this? Calling from a 586 area code.
Hi, have you received my connection?
Yes, we've received your connection. What's up?
All right, cool. This is Troy from Metro Detroit. How are you doing?
Good, Troy. What's on your mind?
I just wanted a few things, and then I'll get to my question. I just celebrated my 52nd birthday on Monday. And I know one of the people that I chat with in the YouTube chat, Bob Carmody, he celebrated a birthday too.
Yep,
I just want to give a shout out to all the YouTube chat members. They're pretty cool.
Yes, they are. Here we go. We'll give them a little. This is for the YouTube chat, and of course, we'll do this for the Twitch chat.
I'm losing it, bro.
Okay, go.
So, all right. So my question is about. I don't know if you guys talked about this too much, but this is in my wheelhouse. So I guess you guys know about the Michigan board blocking the certification of the abortion rights ballot measure. It was thrown to the. It's going to get thrown to the Michigan Supreme Court. Michigan Board of State Canvassers, they were deadlocked 2-2, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, which I figured this was going to happen anyhow. So, but they said that the reason why was because of wording and formatting errors. And the Eric Doster, who's the Citizens to Support Michigan Women and Children, which is a joke because he's on the fascist side. He said nonsense cannot be put into Michigan Constitution. Actual words are required. So I guess they're having to reformat this and it's going to Supreme Court. This thing has gotten over like 750,000 signatures from all 83 counties.
Yeah.
And so it far exceeded the 425,000 qualify. So, yeah, we got to put this on the ballot. I mean, I feel bad for the red states. They really don't have a chance for, the people that run their state. But Michigan, man, they just, thank God for Whitmer. I know she's kind of establishment, but she did, she's done some good things here.
She's been very strong in terms of.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
She's been very strong in terms of abortion, and I suspect that, particularly in the wake of Roe v. Wade, that if I was on, sports trading or trading sports or whatever, trade, I don't know, that the odds of her running for president and winning have probably gotten a little bit tighter, I would imagine. I would not be surprised.
I mean, she did the, we had this little thing with the in auto insurance and stuff. She gave us back like $600 per vehicle, with that no fault insurance stuff going on here. So
all right.
Yeah, she's become very popular. So.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah. Bye.
Do not underestimate the sort of sense that someone from the Midwest, needs to be the candidate. I think that is, and this is, I don't know if Biden's going to run or not, but we'll see. Calling from a 516 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Howdy, MR crew. This is Lux from Long Island.
Lux from Long Island?
Lux. First off, congratulations to Emma on the show. If you ever cover soccer, I will call in every single day.
I look forward to
secondly,
learning more
I have a
about
question.
soccer for sure.
Oh, please cover it. But secondly, I had a question that kind of goes back a while. You guys were talking about this right around the time of the decision of Roe v. Wade. And Sam, you made a really good point that messaging-wise, the Republicans have been, for the most part, very lockstep. And in terms of just like messaging campaign, they're like 15 years ahead of just the left in general, and especially like the Democratic Party, which is pulled in so many directions. I mean, what would be your, I guess, outlook or like prescription to try to create some type of coherent narrative to kind of, I guess, pull more people in? Because we're seeing a bump because of the crazy Roe v. Wade overturning. But I don't know if that's going to last beyond this cycle necessarily with the amount of fervor it's getting.
I mean, the problem that the Democrats have, and that, like, I think, they are made up of basically liberals who I think definitionally do not have the intense interest in government. They're not, ideological in the sense that, like, let's say leftists are. And so they just want government to just operate. And unless there's a reason why it takes like a Trump or it takes like a Dobbs case to increase participation. I don't think there's a need or that the solution is bringing more people into the Democratic Party per se. I think, like, if you look at the just sheer numbers, you're in, fairly decent shape. The point is, how do you get those people who already agree with you to go out and vote? And it appears that for a big cohort of Democratic voters on an off-year election, there needs to be some immediate threat. The Republicans are very good at creating an ongoing threat to whatever it is that they're doing. And that is because I think of the nature of conservatism. I just don't think you're going to get Democrats to come out because, a caravan is going to, maybe take their lake house in Minnesota. Or, you could just go through it. It's been like this for decades. There's always some new threat on the horizon. Gay people, gay marriage, trans people, Muslims, immigrants, you know, and if it's not terrorists, I mean, it's always something, right? CRT, critical race theory is coming for us. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. They have a never ending supply of boogeymen because their people, their voters are inclined to want a boogeyman. And so whether it's, women leaving the kitchen, getting jobs, you could just go on and on and on. There is, I think, look, there's been clinical work done that shows that 25% of North Americans are right-wing authoritarians. And I think they respond to this. Appreciate the call. So in other words, I'm not sure there is going to be a broad message beyond this is what happens when Republicans get in office. With that said, Biden, he didn't relieve as much student debt as I would have liked.
There still
I think
wins.
would have been optimal. But there are, he did what he said he would do on the campaign trail. He said he was going to do $10,000 worth of debt. He has. And he's only halfway through his term. So there could be other things that he could do. But the bottom line is, in addition to Republicans are a huge threat, there's at least some attempt to deliver some material benefits for people. And those efforts should be more successful in the future. I mean, they need to be, but that's the way I think it goes. Electorally, to bring people out, you need to remind them of what Republicans are going to take away from them. To keep a significant cohort of the Democratic Party engaged, you need to provide them with material benefits. I mean, I think that's the formula. It's not one or the other. Calling from a 202 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Ooh.
Hi,
From
this
C.
is Jess from Pennsylvania.
Who's it? Beth from Pennsylvania?
Jess from Pennsylvania, yeah. So I'm calling because I want to ask just about the future of higher education affordability. I'm not sure if people are aware, but college enrollment is significantly down. And part of it is because there's just fewer students, but part of it is because the students that are there are making a cost-benefit decision not to go. And maybe I'm wrong, but this to me is of economic consequence. So I'm just wondering your thoughts on if that will initiate or instigate or inspire any sort of additional legislation on making higher education more affordable.
I mean, I appreciate the call. What needs to happen, and you can look at this in the data, we need to fund state schools. We need to fund them more because they have they have basically pushed the cost of college onto the students relative to where we were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And we need to fund those state colleges. And I think the only way that can happen ultimately is from the federal government. And I think once you make there basically a free option or effectively free option in every state, you'll see private colleges dropping their tuition too, because I think a lot of people would opt for state universities. I mean, broadly speaking, state universities can be exceptional, and the more students it attracts, more students who would otherwise maybe go to a more prestigious school. But now because the prices are, or there's no cost or low cost, and I think it will create downward pressure on the rest of college tuition. But we'll see. I don't see any real indication that that's in the works anywhere. But here's the thing, and I've been thinking about this in terms of the debt question, where you hear people, and it almost seems like some of these complaints have already gone by the wayside. I mean, it really is sort of shocking when you contemplate how little discussion there is about the student debt at this point, because the Republican Party, they can't run on it against it. But here's why student debt, as opposed to any other debt, is there is no way to give back your semester or 8 semesters, or you can't give that back. Like a car can be repossessed, a house can be repossessed, essentially. But it's also, if you believe in the concept of a free college option, then you should be for debt relief, because that's all it's doing. It's just basically saying retroactively, we realize that your college experience should be free or headed towards the free direction. So, if you are for free college, you need to be a free college option, or you believe that, that college should be more affordable, then debt relief makes total sense, because it's the first step towards there. It is acknowledging the principle that we don't want people to go into debt or excessive debt to get an education. And we should be doing, it's far more efficient to do it on the front end. We're just playing catch up by doing it on the back end. So it seems to me that getting a free college option in each area, look, if you're going to spend $600 billion in relieving debt, which you're not really spending $600 billion, because a lot of that is interest too, right? I mean, so it's it was never money that was loaned out. It was interest. You can spend that money and deploy that money in creating free college going forward.
That has to be the solution. You just have to get out ahead of what the right-wing arguments are going to be about it. And mostly what it has to do with is having less leverage over a working population, and also due to military recruitment, which is already down. And they've explicitly said as much. Looks like the military will have to find other ways to entice people to join their ranks. It's not the end of the world.
I guess we were going to do Freebie Friday today. We're already into the fun half.
There you go.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Freebie Friday for everybody as part of this Open Lines Friday. Let's do this clip number 5. The apparently a federal judge basically released a detailed inventory of what Donald Trump stole from the U.S. government.
Borrowed.
These are not his documents. Doesn't matter if he classified them or declassified them or any of that.
They're not his value.
You don't get to keep U.S. government documents after you leave office because you were the former president. It doesn't work that way.
And some of the stuff he took, it's just like, intelligence that we gathered on Emmanuel Macron for his sex life, which is like creepy in and of itself, understanding that that's what our intelligence agencies do. But it's for his own, titillation or something like that. It's just like childish stuff, plus other potentially, we don't even know, secrets.
Well, remember, now, if you look at those envelopes, I mean, those top pages in that picture, they are varying degrees of classification. I guess it's like secret, top secret, and maybe, super secret. But then there's also other letters which indicate like a silo as to like a category almost as to where they are. Not so much a classification in terms of like how sensitive, but what the sensitivities, the nature of the sensitivities. And on those documents, it indicated that these are, the sensitivities are such that it would be a grave threat to national security specifically in these instances, as opposed to like, these are secrets on how to build, I don't know, a nuclear power plant or something to that effect. I'm just guessing. But apparently, Trump had 43 empty folders that were marked classified, and then the documents were missing from inside. Now, it's unclear whether he just stole a bunch of folders or whether the documents inside sort of went away. But it does sort of beg the question, like, what is he doing with just like, it's so cool to have the folders.
Look how important I was.
I was just prepared for the future of.
I mean,
all
that's
these other
possible.
Documents. What else is? Yeah,
It's
It's
the
possible,
best, but the best place for me to put my eventual divorce documents with Melania in those top secret folders.
But keep in mind that they worked really hard, even after they were lied to about what he was retaining. They worked really hard to sort of like resolve this quietly and not have to go in there. I mean, they went for months and months and months. And he could have avoided all of this. Like, I don't understand why he just didn't photocopy the things and give them back. Like, it's nuts. But nevertheless, here is Donald Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, on with Newsmax Sean Spicer with a very inconvenient slip of the tongue in terms of, like, now remember, again, the classification of these documents is irrelevant to what the Department of Justice has alleged, which is that there was obstruction here. These are government property. He pretended he didn't have them. He knew he did. And their argument is like, well, he can declassify anything. Completely irrelevant, but also a dubious claim. But here is Trump lawyer Alina Habba.
They're trying to, obviously now knowing what you just said, conflate this idea that you were looking for potentially handling classified documents. So if you weren't looking for them and that's not what you're handling, then that seems that would be a moot issue as well.
Yes, it's a very moot issue. Sorry, guys. We're going to have to move on to the next story. I'm not, I don't have clearance to touch or go through classified documents. You actually have to have clearance to do that if they're classified. These were declassified, is my understanding. But again, I'm not the attorney that was handling this, haven't been. I don't plan on being. There are a team of attorneys that were in Florida today that are dealing with this and have been on this matter since their first reach out with NARA, and then some additional attorneys have been joined that team. But no, my search was for the Attorney General in New York and had nothing to do with classified documents and NARA at all.
Oh.
So you can't touch them because they're definitely not. You can't touch documents that are classified, which is why you can't touch these documents that Trump says are declassified, but that the FBI raided to get back from him.
Man, Christina Bob must be feeling some bus tracks on her back. She's like, I certainly didn't do any of that. That was not me who did that.
Yeah, they're running for the hills, these lawyers. And part of it is also, I think, these lawyers are have to account for.
No, they're going to be compelled to testify. A story from yesterday.
Yep. And so I think we're watching preparation for that. I mean, I think it's what's happening. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to be the lawyer who's going to take the fall. And some lawyer is going to.
Well, either Trump lied to his attorneys, which is, I think, probably the more likely outcome. About
maybe I did, maybe I didn't. When the president tells a lie, it's not a lie.
It's declassified.
My lies are de-lied. They're more truth.
They're de-lied.
Have you heard of Truth Social? All I do is truth.
My lies are retruths.
But so either he lied to his lawyers about how much he had returned to the government, or they were complicit. There's no way around it. So, gonna be fascinating.
Like I say, the Republicans have no answer for the student debt relief, and so they're just really, for the most part, harping on the FBI having to go to Trump's Mar-a-Lago and say, "Can we have our property back, please?" It's also. Not only is it not your property, it's also very dangerous property for you to have out here, just like, in the magazine rack. Here is former Trump Department of Justice official Jeffrey Clark. Remember, this is the one who wanted to basically do the coup, right? I mean, this is the guy who wanted to press the states for the fake electors and say that there was, election questions. Here he is discussing the photo released by the DOJ. And let's listen to this.
And it relates to comic book world, right? Spider-Man. I seem to remember that there were a lot of plots in Spider-Man, because he was the reporter, right, Peter Parker, for J. Jonah Jameson, where because he was taking the pictures, he was sometimes urged by J. Jonah Jameson to stage pictures. And, ethical Peter Parker, the high school student or later, would resist that kind of thing. So, I just, again, I don't buy that there was kind of a game of documents like, pick up sticks or, throw all the cards on the floor. I don't think that's how the documents were found.
Yeah. Apparently, no one is asserting that these are the way that the documents were found. What they are, what anybody who has been in this, and Clark must know this, that they do this all the time. When they find in these situations, they lay this stuff out and take pictures of it as evidence that it was in that location, not that it was in that manner.
I mean, he seems to have seen movies before, since he's referencing like plot by plot points of one of the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans. But so he's probably seen an episode of Law and Order before. This is what happens in every one of these cases.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow any of the lawyers who are, have, prosecutors who have dealt with these things, or any lawyers who have clients who dealt with these things, that's what they do. Like, they lay it out, and so that there's some evidence that it existed in that place, not that it was. He's not being prosecuted for leaving sensitive documents on the floor. Let's put it that way.
And I guess the analogy is that Peter Parker would have been the FBI and J. Jonah Jameson would have been the DOJ pressing Peter Parker / the FBI to stage this photo, and that Parker didn't, but the FBI did.
Well, the FBI did stage the photo, and
yeah,
no
right.
one is arguing that it's not staged. It is there specifically, like, it's like, I don't know, when they show they used to do put the drugs on the table with the weapons and
the ancient gun. Pull out of the river. Yeah.
I don't think these gang members left all these weapons and bags of drugs on this table.
Yeah, just laid out as a display.
All it is it's like we talked about yesterday with like the Charlie Kirk thing of the Time magazine. It's like finding a hidden meaning so you don't have to talk about the actual underlying issue. It's just like the secret detail proves that it's all, smoke and mirrors.
And they're also, as you said about that story yesterday, Matt, they're children looking for some sort of reassurance or like a way to get out of the reality by it feeding kind of their narcissistic impulse to be like, I have secret knowledge or understanding. And they're children too, by always referencing superhero movies. Like, this guy must be a Tim Pool viewer, because I don't understand why they have no other cultural anchor for them to make their points. They're like kids.
And it's also like, it's one thing to sort of like express to use a movie to like explain something, but the audience is not familiar. The
Newsmax audience, Real America's Voice, as
I get the sense they're not like the percentage of those people who've watched Spider-Man is pretty low. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's like talking about the actual comic back when these people were kids reading it. I don't know. But here's calling from a 970 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, this is David. Can you hear me?
Yes, David, what's on your mind?
Hey, well, this is David from beautiful Durango, Colorado. Hey, I am from, I said Durango. We're in the southern part of the state, and I am part of Lowen Bobert's district.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So we can go on and on about that, but none of that. But yesterday, my son's 8 and my daughter is 4, and they went on lockdown yesterday at their elementary school. My son was crammed into the principal's office for 25 minutes. His new teacher sitting there bawling, and the kids don't know really what's going on, and they're starting to freak out, even though they've had lockdown drills before. My whole point is that this nonsense has to stop, and I know you guys agree, because it's the biggest terrorism plots or terrorists in my country is our own people. It's like, I am so sick and tired of having my wife cry. I have friends teaching at that elementary school. They're coming home to their husbands crying. And on segue into, I called Lauren Boebert's office this morning, and on the phone, I expressed my concern as a dad having my son and my daughter on lockdown, you know, and basically the young man who answered the phone scoffed at me. It's like, they're just sick, you know? And I was like really trying to be calm because I could get really mean, you know, because, you know, we all know Boebert is, you know, she does a great job of rising up the left.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, David, you stay calm, be cool, be Fonzie. And the kid just starts going like, huh, 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 huh. And I'm like, it's like, what's up with all these reactionary bros who are even in DC answering the phones for these people?
Yeah.
It's just absolute lunacy.
It's
The
lunacy.
kid has,
And this is the part,
Go ahead.
I mean, this is like the cost associated with this that it doesn't really hard to sort of quantify, right? I mean, because
absolutely
this story of people, you know, of students going into lockdown, we don't really have a sense of how many times a week this happens. I mean, it's conceivable. There is a school or two every day that goes down to lockdown. We just don't hear about it.
More.
And maybe more. And you're terrorizing these children. Like, I don't know how
You're terrorizing the parents.
You're terrorizing the parents. I don't know how you learn in an environment where you're like, this could happen any day. It really is horrific. It's horrific.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
It's lunacy. And the only way I think we can, you know, hey, I was raised by a professor and I've been called a commie and a socialist all my life. And the biggest thing I've learned is that the only way you're going to change this is you take away their capital. Gun owners, whatever. Pass all these laws, whatever. You slap them in the butt, you know, because in a capitalist system, we only care about money.
Yep.
We did it with big tobacco. Now let's do it with guns.
Yeah, I agree. I think you start by opening up liability for these products, and then you also start making it just like extremely expensive to do business. I appreciate the call.
They don't care about morality anymore.
No, they don't. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
Yep.
Appreciate
Well, thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
And in fact, they're driven by, you know, I'm sure these people believe in the Second Amendment and believe a bastardized version of it. But at the end of the day, this is capitalism. They're making money. That's why they're doing this. Calling from a 541 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Matt.
Matt, what's on your mind? Yep.
Awesome. All right, let me get it. Okay. So I live in Central Oregon, and the other night there was a attempted mass shooting at a Sorry, I just ran inside. At a supermarket, and the person who committed it, he put a online manifesto. It was like a journal or some sort, and I did read it, and he was highly disturbed. I mean, there's no like political thing behind it, but his intention was to shoot up the local high school on the first day of school. That's what he had written like a month prior to this event. And you could just see in his online writing, it was just really disturbing. And he wrote, I hope, is it okay if I swear? I'll just, because what he wrote in his manifesto was pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
And I won't get into anything too detailed, but he said, I cannot wait to get my AR-15 so I can become an effing killing machine.
Hey.
That's what he wrote. And then it was like weeks later, he was saving up his money. And it was like weeks later, and he wrote the day he got his AR-15, he's like, I got my AR today. You're all going to effing die. And that's what this kid wrote. And as far as I know, this is private and no one could see it. I have no idea. But you could see his downward spiral for like months in this online journal, how he was just itching to kill himself and to kill people in the process.
Right.
And that's what his goal was. And unfortunately, it didn't make any news because he actually shot up a supermarket, which is the new trend apparently. But he was so itchy, he just couldn't. You could tell, like in his writing, he couldn't wait to do it. And so it was a full 10 days before the first day of school, and he just couldn't wait anymore. And he got to the supermarket and literally got out of his car and just started firing at the big lots next door to a Safeway. And he started firing and on his way into the Safeway and just shooting like randomly. And then he got into the Safeway. This really, brave worker at the Safeway here. They got people inside, and then when he got inside, he got people outside, and there was people praising him and all that. I wish I knew his name, but he went inside the Safeway and killed 2 people. And his intention was to kill as many as he possibly could, right? And he just had guns and ammo, and he was just waiting for this moment. It's crazy.
It's nuts. All right. Well, I appreciate the call.
Yeah. Thanks.
Lisanne, 87. Breaking news. Some states like North Carolina are looking to tax student loan forgiveness. Did you guys already cover this? That is so ridiculous. Recall that in the America Rescue Act, Congress voted to make the debt forgiveness tax-free. In other words, you wouldn't have to be taxed on the diminishment of your debt. And I guess some right-wing states are looking to punish those people and tax it. That's unbelievable. Well, but not that unbelievable, I guess. Let's go to the phones. Calling from a 727 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Sam and Emma. How you doing today?
Good.
You can call me Jack. I'm from Florida.
Jack from Florida. What's on your mind?
So I've heard a lot of your discussions with different libertarians over the last couple weeks as I prepared to call in. But I wanted to make sure that you guys got to talk to a true libertarian about true libertarian ideas, such as democracy.
Is that you?
Such as...
Hold on, I'm sorry.
That's me.
Is it James? What's your name?
Jack, yes.
Jack. You are a true libertarian.
That's me.
Okay. What, just for the sake of our audience, will you explain to us what a true libertarian is? Because we've had a lot of libertarians on, right? I mean, I don't know how many of those debates have, but everybody from a Ron Paul advisor to a candidate for governor in New York from the Libertarian Party. We had the chairman of the Libertarian Party, maybe from Florida. I can't remember which one it was. I'm just curious, what makes you a true libertarian as opposed to other ones?
So the fake libertarians that keep calling into this show, especially, they tend to talk a lot about how they just don't want to pay taxes, or that they just want to, be able to buy whatever light bulbs they want. But at the end of the day, they're not rooted in the true principles of people like Thomas Paine and John Locke that really set up the foundation of libertarianism. And so they often will choose to oppose one hierarchy in form of another.
Right.
In support of another.
That is true. Like, a lot of these people are what I call them as neo-Confederates, right? Like, they're perfectly willing to have the states abridge people's rights. Somehow that's better than their perception of the federal government abridging rights.
Smaller.
For sure. And they'll often talk about, the size of government. And I agree with them that the size of government should be smaller in certain ways, but they're not as interested in exploring kind of why that is.
Right. What part of government should be smaller?
Well, for example, in a functioning, system that best represents people, I could see a reason to, say, abolish one of the 2 chambers of Congress so that we only have one. To really streamline the process. And maybe
Which one?
we should abolish the Senate because it doesn't represent people properly.
I'm in favor of that.
French Revolution stuff.
I mean, look, I've been saying for a while that the Senate should go the way of the House of Lords and become more ornamental because the House of Representatives is more direct democracy. So we might have some agreements here.
Yeah, that when most people say shrink the
Exactly.
size of government, they're not literally talking about the number of lawmakers. But would you be in favor of one house unicameralism? But would you be in favor of expanding the number of Congress people? Because we stopped at 435, like in the early 1900s, with a population that I think was like, I don't know, not even half, probably like 75%. I mean, 25% of what we have now.
Yeah. So in the functioning government that I would like to see, I would like to see the number of representatives in America who could decide the laws and such be, somewhere around 250 million Americans. But since we don't live in that ideal of expanding the vote to people, then I would say that the best way to do it would be to take the smallest state, say Wyoming, and have the population of Wyoming be the population standard for districts. And I think that would work out to around 770 representatives.
Okay. All right.
I've actually heard that maybe in college as like one of the options that people were discussing to expand the House. So I'm in favor of that too.
Okay. And so, so you're talking about basically just, government reform, increasing democracy. The Senate is incredibly undemocratic body. Okay. Good. So what else? What else did you want to promote?
So I think also, while we're talking about reducing the size of government, I think it's important that we take a look at the executive branch and really take a look at how we could maybe rework some things, maybe dismantle some things. So, for example, we have way too much power invested in the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the TSA, the CBP, and ICE. And I think that each of those should really be looked at closely as ways to kind of remove some of their power. I mean,
how about
FBI,
abolishing ICE?
Let's not
How about
forget
abolishing ICE?
Civil rights leaders they murdered.
Yeah.
And the CIA, let's not forget how many socialists abroad they've murdered just because, effectively they're engaging in cancel culture of socialist ideas.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, the NSA, why? Like we don't really need the NSA in the same way that we do, especially if we have the FBI doing the same thing.
Okay.
Especially if we have.
All right. So I think, we're all on the same page. I think we're all in favor of shrinking the so-called national security apparatus, without a doubt, curbing them, at least in terms of, and curbing their ability to do stuff that I think we would agree is nefarious. What other policies? What other policies that you would want to pursue as a true libertarian?
Sure. So as a true libertarian, obviously I have a lot of concerns around private property and private property rights.
Okay. More explicit for people. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure everybody else does. You want there to be more sacrosanct, more protected private property rights.
In a way, I think that the rights to private property belong exclusively to those who labor on them, and perhaps the community at large. For example, I don't understand the notion that some so-called libertarians would push that you have the right to own an apartment building and be a slumlord. I think that should just be public housing.
Okay, but let's get back to, I want to get back to this, that your right to property should be a function of your working on it. I think this is what Walter Block was arguing. When do you start that?
Well, I started with whoever the original owner of that private property was. So, for example, if we're considering land, I don't think that we should have the ability for any individual to own land, because the communities there should exercise control over it, and also the people who are working that land. And there should be consideration for the people who originally worked that land, who it was stolen from through violations of the non-aggression principle.
Right. Okay. So you would return much of the United States to indigenous folks.
As much as one feasibly could do, of course, a big part of that would be in bringing indigenous folks into the United States electoral system more, in such a fashion that they
But we're
truly
just talking
have
about private property.
a
We're
way
not-
to represent themselves.
Yeah, we're not talking about enfranchisement. We're talking about private property. Like, I mean, wouldn't every claim to private property in this country be suspect, or at least much of it, because it was it was not legitimate on day one?
Yes.
Okay. And all right, I mean, this is good. I'm not convinced that, I think there's a lot of libertarians who would take issue with everything you're saying, but
Yeah, actually, on that note, caller, can I just say the Libertarian Party had a tweet recently in response to Joe Biden tweeting out the word democracy, and the Libertarian Party's response was this: democracy equals mob rules that endangers individual rights. You're not the Libertarian Party's type of libertarian, I guess.
No, I think the Libertarian Party of America is the most soy beta cuck party imaginable. I think that they want to abolish democracy, so-called majority rule, in favor of minority rule. And we would end up with a tyranny of the minority. And the Libertarian Party in particular wants that minority to be, of course, mostly white capital owners, very similar to the GOP. So I think that the Libertarian Party of America has lost a lot of the roots of libertarianism by not really embracing what the word really means.
Do you feel that workers in a just a generic factory, let's just say, should have a greater stake in what they produce? I know that they have entered into a contract and they're being paid, but we know that that the dynamics between management or capital and workers is such that workers are disempowered in that negotiation. So the negotiation itself is also suspect. Do you think we should have a more direct, essentially like almost like a cooperative model, or one where, workers have a far greater equity in the company?
Yeah, I think that would be a good start. I mean, I live in America. This is supposed to be the land of the free, but every time we clock into work, we're expected to give up our freedom and no longer have a voice. If we're really going to be, any kind of free society, then that includes the workers finally, getting rid of their masters, just the way that serfs overthrew the lords, and that that slaves liberated themselves mostly from their masters.
I am asking, I'm going to ask this next question because we just got an IM saying this guy just called himself a libertarian, so Sam would keep him on the line. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, dude, you might be a socialist. I mean, you might want to look into that.
So the libertarianism that I am specifically talking about, and yes, by the way, you might also know me as Robert from Connecticut. I called in about semiconductors a little while ago. But the main thing here is that when people throw around the word libertarian, in America, they're ignoring the roots of libertarianism, which is something that Jamie once got kind of upset about. But is libertarianism is not this weird ANCAP fetishization of hierarchy that we see in America. And if, people want to keep associating themselves with libertarianism, then they should read the origin of libertarianism, such as like Le Libertaire, the newspaper that was published in, I want to say France, but I think actually it was written while the author was in New York. But yeah, of course, I'm a communist, guys.
Oh, okay. Well, I appreciate it. I would say, and thank you. That was a great call. I really enjoyed it. I would say like the attempt, and I don't know that this is your project, but I appreciate it. Good job, caller. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
The attempt, and I don't think this is your project, but the attempt to reform or reappropriate the term libertarianism, I would suggest is a fool's errand, because it would be nice if we promoted a different type of libertarianism, and that's the one that caught on. I would certainly contemplate running for the presidential nomination of the Libertarian Party and espouse, I think, fairly, similar proposals, at least the ones that you outlined when we were talking about. And, but, that ship has sailed. You're not getting that word back. And so best to not conflate things, in my estimation.
I mean, we're already trying to rehabilitate socialist and communist. You don't want to throw libertarian on the pile.
Right. Jess from the West. Hi, all. Tonight is the 98th annual burning of the Zozobra to kick off the Fiestas de Santa Fe. I am driving up from Albuquerque to meet with my family coming down from Espanola, Mendelez, and Yoke. I don't know how to pronounce it. I didn't need to mention that last part. Wanted to see how Sam would fare with pronunciations. Thank you. Zozobra and Old Man Gloom is a 50-foot tall paper marionette, which we burn in order to dispel the shortcomings of last year and start anew. Search it up, check it out. As customary during the fiestas, someone will shout out in the streets, "Viva la Fiestas." The proper response to this call, what everyone else shouts back, is "Que viva." I would love it if you all tried right now. Viva la Fiestas.
Que viva.
Que viva. All right, thanks.
Now you gotta say that into the mic.
Elcon pick. Yes, you can barely hear it. Will you consider a one-time reconciliation like Carl for a daily listener call in, or the parliamentarians that text now, or whatever shady phone service you're going to refuse this ostensibly sensible request? McConnell's sweat diaper. White House messaging on this is about as good as it gets. I know we all find the appeals to mainstream Republicans to be annoying, but he is driving a wedge, saying the MAGA R's hate America. Yeah, I think there's some value to that. Tomalo Fink. Happy Casual Friday, folks. Glad you're feeling better. Emma, everyone has done a great job over the last few weeks, as everyone does under normal circumstances. One thing libertarians like to conveniently forget is that NASA, government agency, got to the moon in 1969 without making a penny in profit. Hence why I'm not particularly impressed by Jeff Bezos going into space when the U.S. government achieved that in 1962. The Soviet government achieved it in 1961. Also, apologies, but this is a bit late, but August marked my 6th-month anniversary becoming a member of the show. Thank you for keeping me informed and entertained. Keep up the good work. Thank you. And this is... Pause it. Does Emmy Eats come in can form? I need soup for my family. No, it does not. It is like in a pouch. You just need to put it into hot water.
Canned ramen?
It's a soup for your family joke.
Oh.
The guy does at the protest.
Bukak.
Nope.
Nope. Thank you. Pause. Okay. Yeah, this is all from the EU. Let's go.
I know that one as opposed to reach around, which I was not aware of what that was. Throwback.
Can't believe you said it again.
I did. I'm feeling loosey goosey.
That's
Bob, how much of the labor shortage is driven by long COVID? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't even seen that many theories, to be honest with you. I've been asking people to send in if they see anybody writing about this. I'm very curious about it. I just don't think we know. There's different factors, but it's very difficult to sort of assess. Calling from a 570 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Yes, this is Dave from Scranton, PA. Thanks for taking my call.
Dave from Scranton. What's on your mind?
Yes, Sam, Emma, and our crew, you guys do great work. The best live chat on YouTube. 2 quick points. A while ago, Emma made a great point. You can't put too much emotional weight on yourself when trying to convince people of the truth and the facts. They don't want to hear it, and it could drive you insane, especially when, the right wing are taking away people's rights, taking away your vote, trying to destroy elections as we know it. I mean, it's sad how many just want to be lied to. But one quick point, with the midterms coming up, I get why people are disillusioned. And I don't know how often you see this offline, but how are we on the left keep pushing more progressive policies forward when, there's still so many arguing about the primaries of 2016, the primaries of 2020, and still arguing about ideas that are terrible, and not just force a vote. We see people acting in bad faith, still saying stick it to the Democratic Party, vote third parties in the general, while they make $30K a month from their podcast, live in a blue state, and won't be affected by, Republicans winning. And then you have others that say that they're on the left, calling Sam, a warmonger, calling people like Tom Hartman a warmonger. And I just think it doesn't help it doesn't help the process. It doesn't help anything move forward, and it just becomes constant bickering, after a while.
I mean,
and I'll take.
Okay, yeah, take it off air. I think it's easy to overestimate the importance of it, and I think one of the things that I feel like I can see is that and originally when we were talking about Jimmy Dore. Early on, the real problem was that we shared an audience at that time, and it was I found that problematic. I feel like those types of people are pretty siloed now, and because they were chasing clicks, a lot of those people. They went into areas that probably alienated some of their audience. So I think a lot of them are probably talking almost exclusively to right wingers now, not exclusively, but close. And I just don't think that there is any mechanism for them to expand on, where they're at. And I think frankly, the Democratic Party has given them less to work with. It's just the case. I mean, Hillary Clinton was a sort of an easy target to criticize and a hard candidate to say, for I think people, on the online left, a hard person to sell, frankly, because there were a lot of issues with her. What she had done in the past. And, I think particularly, I think she was, eminently qualified in terms of the different jobs she had. But her politics, I thought, were not particularly good. And unlike Joe Biden, who I think we all had knew that he's a cipher. And he is going to reflect where the center of the Democratic Party is to the best of his ability. And more or less, that's been the case. God bless you.
Thank you.
That's been the case. I mean, if you look at those numbers about, the debt relief, it was something like 30% said 10,000 was enough and 30% said it wasn't, right? I mean, so there was like, you're right in the center of the party at that point, with the two biggest numbers on either side of you. So I mean, I think that's where he likes to be.
A lot of those people were making the joke, like every time Biden does something that's bad, which American presidents do all the time, they say like, oh, what about the people that said you could move Biden left, right? And I never said you could move Biden left. I thought he was always going to be who he was. But a lot of those people don't like to acknowledge that the Democratic president is often to the left of the Republican one.
Yes. And I mean, it's not a question of moving him to the left. It's getting him to do some policies that are promoted by the left. I mean, we just had Astra Taylor on last week, who was, none of the work Astra Taylor was doing was going to move a Republican president to do anything. And it really comes down to, like, you're in the coalition of the Democratic Party. I mean, if you're listening to this show, whether you're a registered Democrat or not, you're within the coalition. And if you're voting for that person, they're going to need to get your vote again. And if they have a sense that there's enough disaffected people, or I should say, they have a sense that there's enough people pushing for something that it will get their attention and they will do it. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. You can't really compete on a playing field if you do not show up.
And you have to have advocates for you. Like, I mean, when you talk about Astra Taylor, she mentioned just how, one, this came out of Occupy, and then slowly you get Bernie Sanders interested. Then you get Ilhan Omar was later, but then you get Elizabeth Warren interested. And then Elizabeth Warren involves Chuck Schumer. And then Biden listens to Chuck Schumer, right? It's like a gradual process of just kicking the door open ever so slightly until you finally get to the right person you need to speak with.
Speaking about student debt, let's play this clip of Donald Trump. This seems to be the only talking point they have. And that is that everybody who goes to college is just playing hacky sack and doing basket weaving, which is odd because I believe that everyone we've heard this from also went to college. They just happened to be wealthy enough that they didn't have to go into debt.
Those who went to college and paid their debts back, didn't go to every party, didn't buy the coolest new toy chasing clout, but worked hard, saved, paid back their debts. Those are the ones that...
How many people, I was going to say, how many people do you think Donald Trump Jr. knows who did that?
None.
I would gather that Donald Trump Jr. has never had a conversation with somebody who has taken out student loans.
Maybe on a right-wing forum somewhere.
Do you guys remember that story that someone said that when they went to school with Don Jr. at Penn, he was like late for something with an engagement with Trump, and Trump like slapped him in the face in the hallway? Does anyone remember that?
I do not remember, but
So
I mean,
I kind of think Don Jr. might have been one of those kind of partying, clout chasing lads.
no, that guy
He had
parties.
a very austere college experience.
To me, he seems sober all the time.
All right, continue.
Those who went to college and paid their debts back, didn't go to every party, didn't buy the coolest new toy chasing clout, but worked hard, saved, paid back their debts. Those are the ones that are selfish for not necessarily wanting to pay the gender studies major, the doctoral student in underwater basket weaving, all of these useless degrees, the ones that right off the bat will never be able to pay them back. Right? The ones where they're going to be in school for 10 years for a job or a degree that no one wants or needs. Shockingly, they're not the selfish ones. The ones that signed on the loan. Remember, it's not good enough, or the loan or the degree is not worth enough for them to pay it back themselves. But it's worth enough for you to pay it back for them, right? There's no checks and balance on the universities who keep jacking up their tuition, who come up with course loads like, the fashion of Harry Styles. You've seen all of these ridiculous ones. It's the people who paid it back, the people who lived within their means, the people who were responsible. Those are the selfish ones, guys. And that is the Democrat Party today, right? AOC.
I can't even, I can't even, he's not even making a point to be able to, it is really just, all they are doing at this point is trying to motivate some of these voters, I guess, by just sort of just broadly resenting people in college. But particularly Republican voters, they know a lot. I would imagine, they're statistically speaking, a wealthier crew of people. They know people who go to college, right? It's not like, I don't know what it really, I guess, is just about, their taxation, but they.
Well, yeah, he's making a moral point though about if you are going to invest in something, invest in yourself, you have to make sure that you are able to pay it back. And if you don't, say
with
if you
interest,
declare bankruptcy, that is a moral failing, and you should be looked down upon as one of those basket weavers or pot smoking baristas, because his father declared bankruptcy multiple times. That is my point here.
They still haven't been able to make it like as explicitly racist as they want to get to, and they just don't seem to be able to get there.
It's interesting also that this seems to be a relationship-wide attack to take, because Guilfoyle earlier this week was saying the basket weaving thing.
Pillow talk. Sitting around the table talking about it.
What's the worst thing that you could do in college? Think about it. Kimberly, come on.
Basket weaving.
We're gonna stay up all night together. Anyway,
that's
a weird major.
Pretty well done.
It's just I've seen some hyped up people in my life.
All right, let's play this clip. This is Matt Walsh on with the libs of TikTok, Chaya Raichik, and they have been part of the crew of people who are attacking the Children's Hospital in Boston, causing it to close down for a bomb threat, essentially, the other day. And let's hear from them.
One of the only people in the country doing actual investigative journalism. And what she's doing here is, you would think that if there were real journalists working for these supposed news outlets.
Talking about Chaya Raichik or Chaya Raichik as the only journalist, that's who he's referring to.
And it's good that we name her, by the way, because this is the fascist person behind the hate account Libs of TikTok.
Yep. That one of them would have done this.
Calling National Hospital. Your call may be recorded for quality assurance.
I was calling for information about gender-affirming hysterectomies.
Okay, so gender-affirming hysterectomy.
I've been in touch with quite a few hospitals, and a lot of them, they said they won't do it for my 16-year-old. And then I was told that this hospital might, and I also saw it on your website. So if you guys do it for a 16-year-old, I would be happy for, to come for a consultation or whatever it takes.
Let me get you over to the operator, and I hate to transfer you.
I just want to know if you guys do service that age, before coming all the way for an in-person consult and going through all the paperwork and everything.
Yeah, it depends. Like each department is different. Some departments cut off at 18. How old is your patient?
16.
Okay, all right. So they're in the clear. I'll email Dr. Call and see what we can. In the meantime, if you still want me to transfer you, I can still transfer you to surgery.
All right. So pause it there for a second.
Top surgery. And
okay, hold on for a second. So just to be clear, what she was saying about the 18-year-old, this is a pediatric hospital. So this woman is the operator. And the only thing she knows is that if you're over 18, in some departments, they will not treat you. That doesn't mean that they're finding out anything. This is just a blanket policy of the hospital, which is we're a pediatric hospital. And I imagine, I'm just guessing, that they will not, treat anybody over 18, particularly if it's like new treatment in some fashion. I imagine there's probably some exemptions to that. But this is what's so hilarious about this audio. They're convinced they have this hospital dead
Smoking
to rights.
gun. Yeah,
Yes.
It's James O'Keefe all over.
Yes, I would not be shocked if he's working on something like quite similar in terms of a sting operation. But the only thing that this indicates here is that a consultation would kind of be needed if that were the case. Like, there's nothing here that makes it out that the hospital is doing this or has a policy that they're going to be doing.
And it seems as if they're trying to nail this operator on her saying you're in the clear, Len, like you said, Sam. Like, they wouldn't say that if there was an 18-year-old person, because they're a children's hospital and don't service people who are over 18.
Well,
yeah,
like,
it's
point.
not. It has nothing to do with whether.
Like, she doesn't even like registering what the libs of TikTok lady is actually even talking about. She's just saying like anybody under the age of 18 is eligible for treatment in this hospital. She doesn't know about the specifics of any given treatment. But here, continue.
For the hysterectomy.
Okay, beautiful. So I'm going to transfer you to the GYN nurse line. One of the nurses will give you a call to give you more information and to let you know the steps and the protocol that they do for that, okay?
Okay. So they would do it for that age?
Yes.
All right, there you go. That's it. Good.
That
So
just lines it
confirm
up like the again. She is talking about, she doesn't know any of the details of the case whatsoever, the operator. All she knows is that if the person's under 18, then you are eligible for treatment. There's no blanket treatment. Like it's like, do you do tonsillitis?
Yeah.
First of all,
yes. I mean, it's not, I mean, it's like, it's unbelievable.
This actually proves that there's not actually a problem to be panicking about, because it says like, even Raychick herself says, I've been calling all these other hospitals and they say they won't do this for under 18s. And what they don't have is them going on further into the process to be like, oh yes, we'll absolutely do this.
Right.
Very
Where's
easily.
the UIN who is going to call her back and actually talk about the specific thing? Well, you won't hear that tape.
And you also don't hear a bunch of kids who received care at this hospital saying, I regret receiving care at that, because that is also not something that exists.
No, the operator is just doing her job and covering her bases, which would be to like not turn away a caller seeking care for their child and have it be sourced to the doctors or nurses who would be dealing with this.
Literally delegating it as their job is to do.
Right.
And just to be clear here too, this was a call, this specific call was to the Children's National Hospital in DC, because Raychick's not finished looking for other children's hospitals to target with this type of rhetoric. So she already made it so that they had to, have an escalated police presence, roads closed around the Boston Children's Hospital, and I guess she's not done and has to try and do this for somewhere else. I mean, it's really, really loathsome and despicable stuff.
So twisted. So incredibly twisted.
And she loves to dox people all the time on her hate account. I would love, maybe just show your face, Raychick. You hide behind this anonymous account while you post people's content and direct hate towards them all throughout the country. Mm-hmm. Why don't you show your face, sit down for an interview, and own what you do? You fucking coward.
I would put my voice behind those saying that libs of TikTok should be removed from Shopify and other platforms like that too, because it is just a hate account.
Yeah.
Calling from a 973 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from? (973)
This is John from New Jersey.
John from New Jersey. What's on your mind?
John from New Jersey.
So many 973 callers today.
Yeah. Oh my God. I heard that other 973 guy. That might have even been a friend of mine. But I'm calling about. I'm a longtime viewer. I wanted to discuss the Drop Kiwi Farms campaign, if you guys are aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm not fully.
I'm not fully. I'm sorry?
You got to turn off your sound.
Yeah, there's an echo. You got to listen on the phone, not the show. You there, caller?
973.
Hear me
Yeah, we can hear you now.
now?
Yep.
You can?
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to discuss the Drop Kiwi Farms campaign.
Okay.
So I don't know if your audience is aware of this really despicable site, Kiwi Farms. It's a doxing and harassment site that specifically targets trans people.
I'm not terribly. I think it came up the other day, but.
Oh, okay. So there's actually been a lot of progress made trying to contact the host that the host that provides like Cloudflare is the company that hosts
Right. Okay.
Kiwi Farm, right? So there's a lot of pressure being put on Cloudflare to take it down because this is a site that compiles documents on trans and neurodivergent people in order to viciously harass them. They maintain these harassment campaigns against their targets, sometimes for several years, and this has resulted in at least 3 suicides.
Jeez. Okay.
So I just wanted to
I don't know how there isn't some type of criminal liability
like a
for
larger
this.
audience.
I don't know how there isn't some type of criminal liability for this. Are they all anonymous users?
They are, but the thing is, Joshua Moon, the owner of this site, his name is known and out there. I don't know how he's not in jail for running this kind of thing. He so they've been harassing Keffels. She's like a big Twitter and Twitch personality, but they swatted her in Canada. She had to flee her home because the police came in there with assault rifles. She fled to North Ireland, and they doxed her there too. They've just been following her out to every single location she goes to.
Yeah, it sounds horrible. I'm just curious as to why there wouldn't be any type of criminal liability. I mean, we've seen people go on trial for like bullying to intimidate people to the point of suicide. I'm surprised there hasn't been any attempt at this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like Joshua Moon will like some of the defenders who I assume are just Kiwi farmers themselves going on social media and kind of concern troll. They'll say, "Oh, it's not Joshua Moon, the owner of this site, who's doing the harassment. It's just rogue users of the site who engage in this kind of harassment." But one reason we know that is completely false is that Joshua Moon pinned the doxing thread on Keffels to the homepage of Kiwi Farms. That's him saying, "Oh, here's all of her doxing information. Go try to kill her." So. Jesus. Like this, I think this thing just needs to be. So there's been, I think Keffels talked to NPR or is going to. There's been media coverage of this. I just want to do my part to try to help this get to any kind of like wider audience. I'm a small YouTuber myself. I don't really have a large platform at all, so I wanted to discuss this on your channel.
Well, I appreciate it. And so what can people do is there some type of pressure campaign being mounted against?
So I would recommend that you go to dropkiwifarms.net. There is some information there. For updates on it, you can even follow Keffels on Twitter. That is KEFFALS. She has the Drop Kiwi Farms hashtag on her Twitter handle. So keep up with those, follow those, and even just tweet out the hashtag. If you're a small YouTube content creator like myself, make videos about this. Just get the information out there because the pressure needs to be kept on Cloudflare to take down this despicable site and to just get the information out there to the media, get more people talking about this so that real pressure can be put on to take down this site.
Well, I appreciate it. All right. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, thank you.
Barbara Ehrenreich has died.
Yep. Legend.
That's too bad. Rest in peace. Calling from a 970 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Ian from the Denver Metro.
Ian from Denver Metro. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so you all had a caller like a month or two ago who was wondering about how not to get blackpilled.
Okay.
And I don't know, I know a lot of people in my life are kind of dealing with that same kind of hopelessness. And I really liked your answer. It was kind of along the lines of, you know, it's important for us to not let ourselves get blackpilled, right?
Yep.
Like, nothing good will happen if we do nothing, right?
Yep.
But it feels to me like that's kind of like half the answer. And so I just wanted to spend a minute or so on a couple other parts of that answer.
Please do.
That's all right. Cool. So, I mean, one small thing that you can kind of do for yourself is sort of the Mr. Rogers quote of look for the helpers, right? Like if there's something that you care a lot about, especially if it's a local thing, there's a pretty good chance there are already other people trying to do something to help fix things. And so like that's if you actually like start to get involved with organizing and trying to fix things yourself, that helps quite a bit. And another thing that I wanted to share is sort of an exercise that I picked up doing some underground union organizing. That, you know, it's a pretty broad thing that we just call dreaming, where it's just, you know, when you're feeling really hopeless, it's hard often to even just imagine that a better world is possible.
Right.
And with union organizing, it would be a lot along the lines of, you know, when we win the union, when we win a contract, when we win better pay, what's the first thing that you're going to do with that, you know, better pay or work protections? And just kind of like drill into like one little detail. You know, you want to send your kids off to college. What is the color on the icing of the icing on the cake that you're going to buy them for their first day when you're sending them off? And so just like sort of in a broader context for all of us listening to the show, I think we're angry enough to kind of get through the fear that a lot of people can have of getting involved, but just to kind of work through some of that hopelessness with dreaming, I think it's almost even a good like daily exercise for us to just sort of imagine.
I mean, that's what I
could be better in the
I seem
world.
to recall that like in people who are in wars. I don't know if I heard this in the context of World War II or Vietnam or something to that effect, but it was like that this was an exercise that they would do. I don't know what they would call it dreaming. I'm trying to remember what it was, but where you would like down to the very detail contemplate like what you're going to do when you return home or something to that effect. That carried people through those trying times. So yeah, I mean, those are both good suggestions. I appreciate the addendum.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Calling from a 541. Our Friday call thing is working pretty well.
I agree.
Hi, this is David calling from Orange, California.
David from Orange, California?
Yes, Orange, California.
Okay. Welcome to the program, David. What's on your mind?
I'm calling to critique the guests yesterday as well as the interview, and more specifically, the framing they had in terms of the relationship of the rural farmer and the migrant worker. For some context, I was an undocumented person from the age of 3 to 19, and I grew up in a cherry harvest town outside of Portland, Oregon, and I'm very familiar with the type of relationships that these farmers have with these migrant workers, as I worked at a cherry orchard as a teen in the summer growing up, and I just feel like the framing they had during the interview was not right and overly like glamorized, and I would hate for your listeners to come away with that thought, especially because the title of the book itself is like rural farmers and migrant workers came together and harmony or something like that. And yeah, I'm just calling to push back on that idea. And if I can just get maybe the MR crew's maybe thoughts on that, because I felt like that was really ingenuous.
I'll respond. Yeah, I think I said something about this in the fun half in response to a very similar I am about this. I'm in agreement with you. I was perplexed a bit by the romanticization of that relationship. So I tried to steer the interview away from that because there was other really good information that she had in there. I was hoping, to talk about things more systemically, and I think we had success with that. But I agree with you. I thought that it was a story of labor exploitation, and I thought that the emphasis on them having some sort of like familial connection was misguided.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. When I was listening to the interview yesterday, I was a little perplexed that there was no pushback on that. Like maybe it's just like you don't have much experience with that, but I personally was kind of disappointed because I love MR. I listened all the time, and I think it was the first time I had something that I was like personally have experience. And when I heard that framing, because like just the idea of it, like your boss comes to your hometown, and then the idea that these people were hospitable to them, like the person who they rely on to live on, like that is not a good relationship. Like, do they expect these people to not treat them well? Like, I just had so many questions when that came up. I even
I'm sorry you felt I should have pushed back, but I think you're, yeah.
And
Okay,
I was hoping that my comment would be read, but I didn't know that you guys don't read super chat.
No, we don't read super chats.
Yeah, I mean, we sometimes browse them. We don't read them on air necessarily. It's like on occasion, but we do appreciate it, though.
Yes, I agree with your criticism. Yeah,
since it's Casual Friday, I want to leave you guys on a positive note.
Okay.
A few months ago, Emma did an interview with a native who talked about native lands, and the area I grew up in is the Columbia River in Oregon. And I thought that interview was great. I grew up with a bunch of Native Americans from the Celilo Indian Reservation, talked about Celilo Falls was flooded when the dam came in, and how they wish they would have seen it, and they wish people could see it. So I want to leave off Casual Friday on a positive note and just compliment you on that interview. I thought that was great, Emma.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate the call. Point taken 100%. Sometimes when, I'm not conducting an interview with, like, say, a politician, this is an author who I'm trying to get information from, I really try to steer the conversation away from some of those elements you describe as opposed to being directly confrontational. But your opinion is valid in terms of how you feel. Maybe I should have handled it differently.
Thanks for the
Have a
call.
good one.
Yeah, Mark, can I leave you with two recommendations in terms of production?
Sure.
Okay, number one, YouTube Premium doesn't cost that much, so then the ads don't pop up when you're watching videos. Definitely recommend that. And lastly, turn off autoplay, because sometimes when you guys play a video, autoplay to the next video, the long as you're allowed. That is it. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thanks.
Loud and
Sure.
Dubar on the IM. Trans writes, I interviewed psychiatrist Jack Drescher on the DSM over time, and he was part of the committee that kept gender dysphoria, being trans, in the DSM-5. The reason was explicitly and singularly because trans people need medical care and so need an official diagnosis for insurance purposes to make sure they don't have to pay for hormones or surgeries out of pocket. That's the only reason it's in the DSM-5. If we have Medicare for all, then the DSM-6 will eliminate gender dysphoria for sure. Dran Desher also mentioned that the World Health Organization International Diagnostic Codes version 1111, I guess, has changed the official medical code for being transgender from gender identity disorder to gender incongruence. This means that once the IDC 11 is adopted in the US, then gender dysphoria doesn't need to be in the DSM. The problem is the U.S. adopted the latest IDC 30 years after it was published. Being transgender is not a mental disorder, according to all the experts. All right, good to know. Appreciate that. We have time for one more call. One more call. We've got people who've hung on the line for well over 100 minutes. The final call of the day. Calling from a 515 area code. Who is this? 515. Who's this?
Hi, Sam. My name is George.
George, what's on your mind? Where are you calling from?
Iowa. So I'm a big fan of your work, your whole show. Thanks. And in light of the two previous calls, I do feel really bad about this. The father who had to go through the fear and terror of a school lockdown, and the other person who was concerned about that shooter. As a leftist, and I do have an ideological a belief in the Second Amendment, but I would like to make a pragmatic case, and I do apologize for just how I don't want to come off as cold or heartless, but government reform is great, but that's so far beyond our reach without winning elections. And I live in the Midwest, and people here really do want to vote for Democrats, but they really passing another assault weapons ban would be like the Roe v. Wade overturning for them. And in addition to the way that Republicans have gained the system, I would not want there to be a backlash that would even further energize people to vote for Republicans. And I just don't see how Democrats can get, a supermajority in the Senate ever again, unless they can appeal more to rural areas, because, rural values really do include that thing like gun ownership, owning rifles and stuff. And mass shootings, they're absolutely horrible. And I do question myself about this a lot. Like, this is crazy, but in terms of saving lives, passing Medicare for all, reducing poverty, getting free college for people, decades down the line, if we could get, an unbreakable majority, something that the Republicans can't, dismantle down the line, or it makes it extremely hard for them. It seems like if we could, gun rights is, I'd say it would, letting go of that kind of rhetoric, like Beto O'Rourke saying, yes, we will take your AR-15, coming across as more authoritarian than Donald Trump is very stupid politics, in my opinion. And it's a losing strategy. What
do you think it does to those people who are reliable Democratic voters to come out and say, we're not going to do anything about this?
Well,
if we're just looking at it completely,
I don't know if the solution is to say we're not going to do anything about it. I really am not sure.
If we're just talking about this in terms of the sheer political terms. I am quite convinced that the number of, the gun people that you're saying that will react to this, like Roe v. Wade, they're already voting for Republicans. And I just don't think that, and I guess Beto has backed off some of that stuff a little bit. And maybe that's a function of being, in Texas. I hear what you're saying. I just don't know that is going to be that the return on investment is worth the cost associated with that as a political matter.
Well, thank you for considering it, Sam. And I also considered what you said. Maybe they're too far gone anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I just try to look. I'm trying to look at the big long-term picture, and it's like a supermajority, like in the wake of 2008, for Democrats in the Senate. It's like, how will we ever get that ever again? Now that politics is so.
We won't.
It seems
that's
like
why they need to get rid of the filibuster.
You may be right.
I think you're right. I don't think there's going to be a supermajority for a long time. Not for a Democratic supermajority, that's for sure. And I think there needs to be you need to get rid of the filibuster. Appreciate the call.
Thank you.
All right, folks. That ends the call-in portion of the program. I think that was a very successful experiment. We had a couple of rocky beginnings, and but then everything smooth sailing after that. All right, let's read a couple of IMs, and then we will skedaddle. We'll read 10 IMs. Okay, somebody keep count.
All right.
The Rudy went down to go. Ron Johnson also notably wanted to defund state unemployment taxes that employer pay on payroll taxes. That'll get people to work. Wink, wink. Emma, the first episode, just rate the best asses of the MLB, starting with Trevor Bauer and Kurt Schilling, or biggest asses.
Oh, I mean, definitely not the best asses.
Oh,
but
yeah, sorry. I thought we were talking about physical butts.
yeah, Trevor Bauer, and at least in terms of active players, definitely takes the cake.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
Make it happen. Can't wait to call into Emma's show and get an explanation of how in the world she thinks Allen is better than Mahomes, or Allen is better than Mahomes.
Okay, I said he's the best. No, well, this is for the sports show.
Yeah, let the air
I
out
don't
of the
even
tires.
think that.
You gotta
though,
come
I
and see
think
the sports show for that.
they're the two guys. So they're the two guys. Yeah. All right. Now we'll save it.
Sam Mailman. Hi, crew. I would recommend Matt Chrisman and or Chris Wade to discuss their podcast, Hell of Presidents. Made a great guest on Left Reckoning, and the series was quite illuminating for a novice but aspiring historian like myself. All right, we will look into it.
I think, yeah, that is a really great series. And people talk about blackpilling. I think hearing like people like Matt Chrisman talk about the Civil War era, learning about the Civil War is an antidote to being blackpilled.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the most important thing and under taught in our country. It's really fascinating how, Reconstruction, maybe I feel like maybe it's happening a little bit more these days, but Trans Tomboy. Hey, Sam, any advice for someone moving to Massachusetts? I'm moving from PA, moving to Lowell, Merrimack area for now, but hopefully moving near Framingham eventually. Learn to drive in a rotary. How about that? And I don't know what else to tell you. Get some, go over to Ipswich. You're up already in Lowell. Go get yourself some clams over there. Really cool. Happy soft collared casual Shabbat. Fab UCAT. Any baseball coverage?
Probably not for now, but I want to learn more to cover baseball. I'm a very casual baseball fan. So,
Mr. Jackpots, regarding Jordan Peterson's 5,000 hours comment from the other day, I'm currently in a master's level therapy program, and when I graduate, I'll need 3,000 hours more for licensure, which is roughly 2 years of full-time work, if not more. The idea of spending 5,000 hours with one client is just absurd, but completely irresponsible. I can't imagine where that number came from. Well, I think you just want it to be impossible.
Yeah, and also a lot of these people are socially transitioned for around that or more than that period of time before they end up getting any sort of surgical intervention.
Not my Pope. Chile is voting on their new constitution Sunday with tons of misinformation floating around. It's unclear how accurate the recent polls showing rejection are. It'd be great to have someone on next week to dissect the whole situation and outcome of the vote. Good point.
We are.
Great. Alex Charles Duke, Emma Sport Jordy. Nice. One true libertarian. Don't worry, y'all. I know I'm not getting the word back. It's just like American libertarians won't be getting their private property back. That was the Ryan in Los Angeles. Wait, what? All the previous libertarian callers and guests aren't true libertarians? All right. Yeah, well, we got hoodwinked a little bit on that.
in a good way.
In a good way. Dancing G-roll. Toys in this context is a phone or computer. This just goes back to millennials need to stop buying avocado toast and iPhones. Tech is scary. All right. And the final IM of the week. Find this thing. Okay, here it is. It is from Legend of Sean. Jeff Clark is Tim Pool's future self. Bradley, Matt, Emma, good job today. See you folks on Monday. No, 8. We will not be here on Monday. It is Labor Day. We play our famous Labor Day, compilation, and we will be back live on Tuesday. Have a
And
great
that is
Labor Day, everybody.
when ESVN will be launching after
So
the show.
check it out, folks.
I'm getting practice by plugging.
All right. See you Tuesday live, Monday for the compilation. See you then.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth